What's up, guys? Abby here, bringing you another video. Today I'm working on your feet. Actually, I'm working on my feet, but if you follow along with me, you'll be working on yours. So all you'll need for this little session is going to be your feet, barefooted please, no shoes, no socks, and have something cushiony for a little bit later when we come down to the floor and start working on some pails and rails, okay? Let's go right ahead. No backstories, let's just do the work, right? Do you want stronger feet? Do you want more flexible feet? Do you want feet that can support you throughout your day without as much pain? This is a great series to work through to get that. So stand flat. Maybe you want something to hold on to for balance because we're gonna be doing stuff with the toes first. But yeah, feet parallel. We're gonna work both feet at the same time to begin, okay? All you have to do to start is lift both toes, both feet toes off the floor and then relax them back down. So all of them at the same time. Lift them up, put them back down. Lift them up, put them back down. Okay, let's do 10 reps. Next up, we are going to take just the big toe off the floor and leave the other 4 toes on the ground. Okay? This is a series that I learned through functional range conditioning when I took their certification a month or so ago. And this is their version of toe CARs. CARs standing for controlled articular rotation. Definitely a fancy way of saying how well can you move your joints in their full range of motion. Okay, so once you get about 10 of your big toe lifts, I like to think it's like making a thumbs up with my toes, then we're gonna switch it and see if you can leave the big toes down and pick all 4 toes up and place them back down on the floor. 4 toes lift, 4 toes on the floor. Times 2, so it's 8. A little bit of anatomical math for your viewing delight, okay? For some reason, you find that this is really, really tough and you're having a hard time making that mind to muscle connection to let your body work well, you could do 1 foot at a time, right? Maybe one leg, 1 foot answers you better than another one does. It's totally fine to do these separately. I'm just doing them together to save a little bit of time. So this isn't like a 4-hour video because I'm sure if you scrolled through that and you were like, I would like to do a little footwork today. Then you came across one for 20 minutes and one for 3 hours. You'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna do that 20-minute video, not the 3-hour one. All right, so we've just finished 4 toes up. Now lift all the toes off the floor at once and place just the big toe down on the ground 10 times. Okay, so almost doing the opposite of what we did with the toe thumbs up. Instead of lifting it up, now you're pushing it down independently, trying to isolate just the big toe joint. This might be really tough, okay? So do your best. I promise you're gonna start to feel way more improvement in your balance, in the strength of your feet from just these little articulations. So if they're not awesome right now, stick with it and, track your improvement as you go. Hopefully that was around 10. Clearly you see I'm not counting with precision here. I'm just going for approximations, but if you learn the sequence and you want to start doing, oh no, I got to concentrate, I did it wrong. Okay, all 4 toes down, but the big toe stays up. See my face? This is a hard one for me. 4 toes down, big toes stay lifted. 10 times. Ah, messing up. See, even I have stuff to work on. Okay, I think that was 10. Now we're gonna alternate. Last little bit from our toe car standpoint. Big toes down, and then right away switch. 4 toes down. Big toes down, 4 toes down. See how I'm also doing this with my hands? Try not to do that. I don't want your brain to associate your feet and your hands as having to move at the same time. They don't. They should be independent of each other. So alternate toes and big toe. Big toe, toes. Big toe, toes. Cool. Okay, this one's tricky. I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer so we get a good close-up of it. Now I'm going to try to piano keys my toes down, and I have to do this one foot at a time. So all toes up, and then you're going to go pinky toe first, try all 4 toes, and then big toe comes down last. See if you can sequentially piano key your toes down to the floor in sequential order. This one's not too bad, but I'll give you a spoiler alert. We're going to try to do the opposite of this, big toe down first, and then pinky toe goes last, and that one, I feel like a delinquent. I don't even know what, but my body doesn't like to do it yet. Doesn't mean I'm not going to practice it, though. Okay, about 10-ish, and then you move to the other foot. If you are more advanced than I am and you can do this with both feet at the same time, you go fast forward a little bit. Take it a little bit quicker than me. I don't mind at all. This foot feels better. Try not to rush. I caught myself rushing a little bit. Okay, here's my favorite one. And by favorite, I mean my least favorite because I'm terrible at it. Big toe first, and then see if you can, that was not good. Put the toes down in order in the opposite direction. So you just get to, stare at how poorly I do this because I am not providing a great example. It's okay. Ooh, that one was better. Nope, not better. Why is this so hard? It's the effort that counts. You'll hear me say that in lots of other videos. So now you're finally getting to see me not do something so well, but I'm still working on it. Oh, okay, I feel lots of work in that foot, that's for sure. And on the other side, about 10-ish reps. This foot's a little bit better, but it's still not. I certainly couldn't play any concertos with my toes. People can do that, right? There are people that can play the piano with their feet. I bet there are. People can paint with their feet. It's amazing. I'm impressed because this is not easy. Whew. Okay, so that covers it for the work with the toes, but I have one next for your instep. This is especially good for anyone with fallen arches, flat feet. If you do not have this nice arch here under the foot, what we're going to try and do is use our muscles to lift this off of the floor, creating more of a dome shape, while also pushing this big toe mound into the ground, and then relax. So it's dome and release. Dome, pull the muscles up, and release. Trying to increase the archiness of your arch, for a technical term. Please recognize the sarcasm. Try to make sure your toes aren't grabbing too much, so I'm not lifting the ball of the foot off the floor. I'll try it from this angle as well, so you can see that I'm doing my best to keep my toes relatively flat without too much tension. Mine are gripping a bit, so I probably have room to improve. But that's what this is all about. Just making whatever your capabilities are better than they were before, through movement and through exercise. I lost count. I'm going to do 2 more. That's a lie. I wasn't counting in the first place. Okay, same thing on the other foot. Little doming. Let's give you the side view. Ooh, this foot feels like it's better. Maybe my right foot is stronger than my left. So to 5 facing that way, 5 facing this way so you can get another view. Great. Okay. Feels like I need to stretch my feet out a little bit because all of that work made the muscles kind of tight. So I'll pull you over so that I can hold on to something. bring you a little closer so that I have some stability. And we're gonna work a few calf raises, or the ballerina in me wants to call these releves. So lifting up onto the ball of the foot, lifting your heel up as high as you can off the floor. Try not to bend the knees. Just rising onto the ball of the foot and back down. I can feel a little stretch. I can also feel a little work that way. Not too many, just to kind of flush out some of that effort from the sole of the foot, from the cars and the doming. Okay? Then we'll take the opposite of that with a nice bend in the knee. Keep the heel on the floor, try to relax the foot, and then come back up. So I guess you can't totally see a ton of this from the video. You can see a little bit, but I'm bending my knees, coming down into a very upright squat, or I would call this a plie. Trying to stretch some more things out. And then one more, which is wonkier, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to try to draw a circle with my ankles while I do that calf raise. So I'll start up normally, and now I'm going to send my ankles out away from each other, which in many circles of teaching, people would be like, oh my God, never do that. That's so bad for your ankles. You don't want to sickle. You don't want to sprain it. But what you're doing here is controlling the natural range you have in your ankle. And so you have started to scoop inward as well on each one. So the ankles pull toward each other. So I'm drawing circles with my ankle joint as I do that releve, just to understand and work the full range of motion that I have. Okay? And then I'll do the opposite of it as well. Ankles go out first, up and in, and control the way back down. Right? Never push yourself into a range that does not feel that you can control, or doesn't feel like you can control it. Yeah. If you want to do a couple more of those, feel free to pause the video and keep going. If you want to do a few less, you just got to fast forward through it. Up next, I'm bringing you down to the floor. So grab that cushion, and I'll meet you on the floor. Okay, so this is where we're going to start our PAILs and rails. That real FRC, functional range conditioning, bread and butter. Okay, the point of this is to open up more workspace in your joint to help you get more range of motion so that you have access to strengthen larger ranges of motion. I'm going to start with plantar flexion. Okay, this is the increasing this capacity of the foot to point more. So for all of you dancer folks out there who want a better foot, this is an exercise that's going to help get you there. Okay, so I'm going to start on my cushion with the foot that I want to stretch in a nice aligned position. So I'm not having toes pointing one way and the heel pointing another. I'm going to have it in line with the rest of my leg. And then I'm going to find a stretch for the instep. Okay? Due to my dance background, I already have a pretty flexible arch here, or flexible instep. So I can come all the way up here before I find a stretch, but you might find that even just sitting like this is plenty for you. Okay? So I've got myself almost in that stretched position. I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes and hold it right here in my passive end range stretch for 2 minutes. So for me, again, this is what it looks like. I'm holding up some of that weight with my opposite arm. My other hand is here to help keep me comfortable. If you can come up with a different way to stretch your instep, you certainly can. You can use that as a stretch instead. The whole point here is that you're getting a passive end range stretch across the instep, across the front of the foot, that we hold for 2 minutes, and then we'll start working in this position. So bear with me. This will take a little bit, but if you want something, you got to work for it. I've definitely been excited about these PAILs rails since I've learned them, since I've started to understand them more. And the beauty of it is you can use this method in any position, Doesn't have to just be for your foot. If you want to increase range of motion in your shoulder, you could do it for your shoulder, your hips, your knees. The protocol, the technique is the same. So always hold for 2 minutes first. This tells our stretch reflex that it can kind of calm down and we can accept this position, we being ourselves in this case. So after the 2-minute stretch, the cells are able to start taking in new information about end range and about strength. And we're coming up on that 2-minute mark now. So what we get to do next is start putting some force into this area that's been opened up, okay? So to start, I want you to generate some force in your core, okay? That energy, that contraction, that force is going to radiate out through the rest of your body, the rest of your tissue, so you start to feel strong. Now, push the ball of the foot or the instep into the floor at 10% of your effort. Then 20. Increase to 40, 60, 80, 100. Just push into the floor like you're trying to dig a hole with the instep of your foot. It's going to feel like a lot. And then ramp it back down. 80, 60, 40, 20, 10. Take a deep breath. Now we're going to contract the opposite side of the foot. So that's going to be trying to point your foot more, pull your toes away from the mat. I'm going to bring my foot down a little bit because I couldn't do anything from there. 100% of your maximum effort, try to point your foot. Point, 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 point. Curl those toes under. You might get a cramp in the sole of your foot. It's very normal if it happens, but try to bear with it. 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay. Very tender at this point. So bring that foot out from underneath of you. You can move it around a little bit. We'll stand up in a second after we've done some more work for dorsiflexion and the other side, okay? So let's go right away. Dorsiflexion on the same foot. You don't need to have this if you don't want it for this one. Dorsiflexion is the ability to flex your toes up toward your shin, right? So this one's great for lots of people. You don't have to be a dancer kind to benefit from increased dorsiflexion if your squats aren't as deep as you want them to be. If you have trouble running, increasing dorsiflexion can be an excellent way to go about things. So see if you can come down to this sort of half kneeling crouched position and put some of your body weight onto your thigh. You should feel a stretch through the back of the leg, maybe through the Achilles, through the calf. And lean forward as much as you can until you find your passive end range stretch. You saw what I did. Just started my timer again. A 2-minute hold right here. I'm just sending the signals to my muscles, back to my nervous system, that this is not a scary position. All right? Generally, that's what happens when we feel a stretch in the muscle. It's not that they're actually tight or any tighter than, something else. It's that the muscle isn't used to going that far, so it talks to the nervous system and says, whoa, we got to hold on to this because we're not used to going this far. It reaches a position where it assumes that since you haven't been there or you haven't been there regularly, that you can't work there anymore. So this 2-minute hold kind of bypasses that stretch reflex and allows us to start inputting new information into the muscles, the cells, and that is why this stuff works, okay? You can absolutely look up more info. I'll always link functional range conditioning when I do their work in any of my videos so that you can check out theirs. I'm sure they say it more eloquently than I do. So please, if you're curious, check them out, learn some more stuff, and get nerdy about the body. Make sure you're relaxed, that you're not holding any extra tension where you don't need it. Because from our 1 round already, we're going to start building a lot of tension coming up here in about 20 seconds. Okay, a little recap on what we're going to do. You're going to start generating force, generating a contraction from your abdomen. Let that contraction start radiating out through the rest of your tissue, the rest of your muscles, so that lots of things are working at once. And our primary force now is going to drive into the floor, like you're gas pedaling that ball of the foot into the ground at 10% of your max. Then 20, then 40, 60, 80. Squeeze everything you can. Push the foot into the floor at 100% of your maximum effort. Go. Hold it there. We're going to try to stay for about 10 seconds. You've got to hold on to that 100% contraction for another 5. Bring it back to 80, 60, 40, 20, 10. You should still be leaning over the foot with your chest. This time, try to pull the foot off the floor, pull your toes closer to your shin at full maximum capacity in 3, 2, 1. Pull it and hold it. Three, 2, 1. Relax. Ooh, I got a little extra clunk on that one. And then back yourself out of it. Maybe a few ankle circles. It still feels kind of tender at the moment, but we'll stand back up once we're finished the other foot and test out some of this new range. That's why I wanted you to start with some releves, so that we could see what they feel like after we do the PAILs rails. Okay, switching sides. Flip my timer over here. I'm going to bring the instep of my foot to my cushion so that it doesn't feel too uncomfortable. And we'll start the timer once you get into your stretched position. Okay, PAILs rails for plantar flexion is this exercise. So increasing your ballerina foot, getting a prettier instep. I love how I say stuff like that still. Like who decided that this is prettier than a different foot? Oh, I know, the ballet industry did. But I definitely catch myself thinking those sorts of things and, figuring out how I was sort of programmed to think. Do be careful that as you're stretching here, the heel is not sinking out towards the side. Make sure it stays pulled underneath, in line with the shin, in line with the other leg. Remember, your stretch might look a little bit different. Maybe you're down here. Maybe that's plenty. About halfway through your 2-minute hold. This is some thrilling content right now. Oh yeah. 30 more seconds to go. Ooh, I kind of like this angle better for me. I'm hiding a lot of things, but this feels more useful for me. I'll certainly be able to push into the floor better once we get there. Okay, it's time. Build your contraction from your center. Start pushing that contraction out to the rest of your body. You're going to push the foot into the floor like you're digging a hole through the mat, 10% of your max. 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. Push. See how long you can hold on to your 100. Not 99, not 98. Ramp it back out to 80, 60, 40, 20, 10. We'll try to point the foot, curling the toes up towards your booty in 3, 2, 1. 100% of your max. Pull. This does not feel good. And release. Okay. Give it a shake. Gently come off of it. Yeah, that one is intense, at least for me. So once I bring my foot out of it, I really do feel like I need to just do some of this stuff for a minute, like move it around, whether it's manually. Once that pain starts to subside a little bit, just gently move it around on its own, okay? Dorsiflexion up next. We'll do a quick check after that on range, and you'll be all set, okay? I'm gonna stay on this cushion, it feels nice. Okay, 2 minutes. Find your passive end range of dorsiflexion. All right, how far can you bring your knees over your toes? There's a lot of folks that I've also followed on social media that will talk about the 5-inch wall test. They say if you have a line 5 inches away from a wall, so pretend there was a wall right here, and if you put your toes on that line, you should be able to touch your knee to the wall. And that says you've got a good working range of ankle range of motion, knee range of motion, mostly this dorsiflexion. So if you've ever tried the 5-inch wall test and you did not successfully reach the wall with your knee, and you want to get there, you want to make it better, this is a great exercise to do to help improve your range of motion at the ankle joint. Now know that you never want to push to a place of like bad pain. Like if things feel like they're pinching or sending shooting pains up, you need to back off of your range a little bit, okay? I'm trusting that you know how to work with your body and listen to it so that you're not going to push yourselves to the point of injury. Luckily, with these PAILs rails, since we're only doing isometric contractions, meaning we're not moving through space while you contract, you're just holding a position and contracting in one spot, they do tend to be safer. So that's a good thing to know. Coming up on that spot. I think I came out of my stretch a little bit, so I'm going to lean forward just a tad more. I'm going to build a contraction that starts in my abdomen, then radiates out through the rest of my body, trying to tense up as many muscles as I can to help push the ball of my foot into the floor. Gas pedal all the way in. 10%, 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100%. Back to 80, 60, 40, 20, 10. I'll take a deep breath. Now I get to try to flex harder. Pull my toes up towards my shin. Ready, set, go 100%. My shin feels like it's gonna cramp. 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna relax. Okay, so that's it for my PAILs rails. I'm gonna quickly shift the video and we're gonna test out some releves again. So here I am, about to rise up to my releve with both feet on the floor. Does feel like I've got a little bit more range than I did before. I could try 1 foot at a time, see how far I can get up there. It just feels better. I mean, yeah, of course I'm warmer. I did some more work. Yeah, feels better than it did before. We did not do anything to increase these circular ranges, but I'm gonna let myself work through them again, just for a rep or two, since I've increased the range at least in this direction and this direction. I want to include that in my circle now, right? You can try pointing and flexing the feet without weight on it. You can, of course, circle the ankle by itself. These are all excellent things to do to help improve the mobility and strength of your feet. So that's it. Thanks for joining, and let me know if you liked that one. Have an awesome day.